There, here comes the guy with $3. There's got to be something going on here. Sorry to interrupt, but I mean, I can't let this go away. Do I need the buildings in the background? Should I shoot over the cars? Should I shoot right by the cars? I'll go this way. Now he's in the shadow. I'll move over this way. Put it down on F4. Get ready when he goes by the certain section there. Focus on the cars already. Wait for that guy to go by. Look the other way. I don't want to disturb this guy. And then when he goes by, I can make the shot, but it's no good, so I didn't take it. Maybe you're taking too many pictures. I know how hard it is for me to take a picture. I've got all these considerations that I have to make. The older and more experienced I get, the more of these considerations. What is the viewer going to think? Can I get rid of that object in the foreground that's distracting? Can I include the graffiti on the wall? I don't know, that might be too distracting from the center of interest, which is someone sitting in the car maybe. How much of the building should I think? How much have we got backlight over there? We don't want that extra light. Maybe we move this way, we got something this way. But we don't want that way, whatever it is. And you've got all these considerations to make before you make the photograph. And knowing that, how hard it is for me, I can't understand how someone can just go click and click and click without the dreaded thing I fear the most, which is guessing. I always park about a mile away from the city. Free parking gives me a chance to find subject where you might not ordinarily find subject. Subject is usually always behind you. Gives me time to walk into town, think about things. So some of my friends have been asking me to do a special deal on taking too many pictures maybe. Or maybe not taking too many, enough. It's a big problem now, of course, with the ease of the digital cameras and motor drives. It's pretty easy to take extra shots that you might not need. And I call it something like hitting yourself in the face with a closed fist sometimes. I've seen it, and I've talked to photographers who've told me about it. And that is, you see a subject, you think about it, but your mind says, no, there's not enough going on there. There's not enough details, elements, and factors, not enough tension, not enough contrast, whatever it is, there's not enough, forget about it. And then the other part of the brain says, well, I'll take it anyway, and it might come out. I'll take it anyway, and it might come out. Well, to me, that's like hitting yourself in the face with a fist. I mean, you just realistically said that there wasn't enough in there. And now you're hoping that just if you take it, it might turn out. And I think that's very damaging to be arguing with yourself in that way. And so, the same friends that have been taking a lot of pictures know that I don't. And they want to know how I do it and why I don't take that many pictures. And so, we're going to have a workshop about that on March 1st. One day. It's going to be 35 millimeter film camera with a 50 millimeter lens and one roll of film, black and white film. Manual focus. And we're going to do that. We're going to go and we're going to see how we can make our photography more effective. By really figuring out before we make the photograph, is there enough going on here? Can we change our position? Can we make it work? Can we make it happen? But we have to get away from that habit of saying, well, I'll take the picture anyway and maybe it will work. No, because while you were thinking about that, you missed the shot right there. These are the problems that I wrestle myself with all the time. And it's good. Everything should be questioned. Everything you do, every consideration you make about framing or focusing should be questioned. Well, if I focus on that, will it take emphasis off that? Will it? No, not too much. Okay, what if I move over here? Okay, now it's good. But all these considerations have to be made before you make the photograph. How can you just go click, click, click and guess? I don't want to guess. And I want to help you people that are doing a lot of this shooting, you know? I just returned from Cuba. 14 days in Cuba, I shot 6 rolls of film. And I worked as hard as I could. So I don't shoot much film, and I want to share with you how I do it. How I go about in the street. how I think about what I'm including in the subject, how it goes together. And I think if you look at my pictures, you'll see that there's always three things in harmony. Here, motherfucker. Where was I?
You were talking about three things in harmony.
Oh yeah. I think if you look at my pictures, you'll see that I try to get three things, three separate things, in harmony and working with a certain tension or contrast together. One relates to the other in this and back and forth. This workshop, one roll, 135mm camera with a 50mm lens. Get it for $100, that's how much I paid for this one. Bear with me, one roll of film, but it's a special kind of film. I'm doing you a favor here. You're gonna have digital and film together. We're gonna use Ilford XP2 Super Film. It's a black and white film, color processed, C41 process. You can get it back in half an hour. No prints, tell them to scan it. So now you got the negatives and you got a disc. You put it on the computer, you pick the shot out you like, take that negative out, have it scanned, a nice scan. Now you got a wonderful digital program to work with, but you got the traditional negatives. So it's the best of both worlds, but it's designed to slow you down and to get more selective about your photographs. And how to not take the photograph is just as important as taking the photograph. I like to tell people I try not to take the photograph. Like I did with this man coming with the 3 boxes. I tried not to. There's not enough. I don't want the city in the background because that's the light is too overtaking. It'll overtake the shot. The cars don't really go with the 3 boxes. Maybe if I could have lined up 3 of the mirrors and 3 of the boxes. Couldn't do that. Running over to the other side shooting that way, I couldn't make it work that without it making it look like it was set up or corny or a cliche. And so I abandoned the shot, and I feel good about that. It wasn't good. I worked it to death, and it didn't pan out, so I let it go. Fine. Now we'll move on to the next shot. But this is what we're going to do in the workshop. We're going to photograph the streets of LA, this vibrant city, with a manual camera, manual focus, and I'm going to show you how to manual focus faster than autofocus cameras can focus. I'm going to show you some tricks that I picked up over the years. You got to be quick. That's the whole thing. Sometimes these modern cameras have too many functions. They're too confusing. They're hard to work with. You have to think of this and think of that. We have to keep it very simple because there's no time to think about holding the shutter button halfway down so I can place focus somewhere. That's an extra thought. It's an extra function, and we don't have time for that. We're trying to trim it all down to the basics. Manual focus, 35mm camera, 50mm lens. I want to show you the merits of this wonderful format. A lot of times people like to use wide-angle lenses. The average person doesn't get close enough to make the wide-angle lens work very well. Sometimes it can be a death trap because the wide angle includes too much information for the viewer, and then the viewer doesn't see the center of interest as easily. By the same token, the 50mm lens narrows it down to just the important items that you want to include in the frame so that the viewer gets the point when he sees the center of interest without all the extra stuff that would be involved with the 28mm lens. Now, if you're able to get really super close, the 28mm lens can be a very effective tool. But I want you to look at this wonderful versatile lens, the 50mm. I want to get rid of a lot of functions that you're thinking about now and get it down to the basics. Film, 50mm lens, and watching me, how I'm able to become one of the subject. Bresson said it, one must become part of the subject. One must be part of what one photographs. I'm going to show you how I do it, how I get close without getting in trouble, or run over by a train. Yeah, there's always something, huh? He's got to blow that horn, huh? He gets up there and he's got to blow that horn. Anyway, yeah, we're going to run around the streets of LA, a lot of laughing because what we do is pretty silly, obviously, finding the moment and how I find subject. And I've got a technique that I want to share with you that makes it much more probable that you're going to find subject at every few feet. You'll be 3 times more better at finding subject with this new technique that I've got. How to find subject. That's the hardest thing in photography. What are we going to photograph and why, and what will the viewer see? And how can we make it better by changing our position or changing our attitude or changing our format or changing our point of focus? That's what we're going to cover. We're going to get back to basics. but you're going to have the opportunity of seeing how I do it. Not how I talk about it, talk is cheap, but how I can get right in there and part of the subject and I never get in trouble and everybody's happy, no one's stealing anything, everybody's smiling, and that's what it is. So it's going to be on March 1st. I hope you join me for that one. And then I'm getting ready for my workshops in Lisbon, Portugal and Barcelona, Spain. I want you to look into that. Look at my website. I'm here to try to help. I've been doing this 44 years. I've got some tips that I know I can help you with. And a lot of times, us as students trying to learn something, there's an old saying, maybe we don't know what we don't know. Maybe there's tricks about framing that I can help you with that you don't know existed. Maybe there's portions of your brain and your imagination that you didn't know you had, and I can help you bring it out. Because the whole deal is to bring out your unique personal vision. And these fancy cameras with all the doodads on it might be holding you back. Might be making you go too slow or not to arrive at the moment when your brain tells you to take the picture, you're not ready. You're still fooling with the camera. That's deadly. We don't want that to happen. I want to show you how quick I can be and share some of my tips with you so that you can be quick. And then you arrive at the moment when your heart says, now, you've got the shot and you'll be happy as hell.